I mean, the fast answer is in games we have limited, in a particular game we have limited freedom, but in the ecosystem of games we have meta freedom. You might like an incredibly open-ended games. I like both kinds. I have friends that when I give them one of these weird indie arty tabletop role-playing games, they freeze up, and what they want is Tetris to have fun. Why is this? I think there's a really interesting answer in Bernard Suits. I think it's a really profound answer, actually. He thought that game rules actually created freedom by creating new possible actions. There's a kind of action you couldn't even have before, right? There's no such thing as dribbling and dunking without the rules of basketball, right? There's no such thing as a clever center strategy in chess without the rules of chess. So one of the interesting things about rules is they're actually creative. They create new forms of life, right? They create new possibilities for actions. This is also an idea from political philosophy that one of the core ideas of what governments do is that at its best, we create rights through rules. Like what rules do is they create new kinds of rights that weren't there before. I mean, Rousseau thought the first right we created was the property right, and then there are others, right? So I mean, I think one way to put it, and I think this is again related to this Tal Brewer thought about Aristotle. One of the reasons it's useful to have rules is in part because they can sculpt kinds of activity that you've not had before. And someone can carefully design something that you had no idea was a possible activity. And the way they communicate it to you is through a rule system, right? I'll end by talking about one of my favorite games. Simple game, a party game. It's called The Mind. It's awesome. If you haven't played The Mind, you should play it. It'll take you 10 minutes. It's best at 3 or 4 players. It's a multiplayer game. It's a cooperative game. The deck is cards labeled 1 to 100. In level 1, everyone gets 1 random card, and your goal is to play them down in order, right, from the lowest to highest. But the rule is you cannot talk, signal, or communicate in any way. You just have to use your sense of shared timing. And if you get level 1, then you reshuffle all the cards, and everyone gets 2 cards. And to win the game at 4 people, you have to pass level 8, which means out of 100 cards, you deal everyone 8 random cards, and you have to play them out in order without speaking or signaling. What the game teaches you is it's actually possible to do this by slowly tuning in to your collective sense of timing. That is not something I would have explored without a game system with a hyper-rigid constraint that forbade me. I mean, one way to put it is when you constrain one thing, you push yourself into another part of yourself. Soccer says don't use hands, then you learn how much you can do with your feet, right? Climbing says don't use tools, you learn how much you can do with your body.
But would you say that that applies in a system like a video game where there really aren't new things you can do in a way? I mean, maybe you can. Well, yeah. Tell me
what. Here's something I could never do before the game Portal. Try to create wormholes and connect things through other directions. The game Baba Is You is a video game in which the rules of physics are written on blocks in the game, and I can manipulate the rules of physics during the game to change the rules of how the game works. In the game Rounds, which is my new favorite game I'm playing with my kids, which is a game based on Hades type power amplification, but it's a 1v1 shooter. Suddenly every time you lose, you get to pick a new power. And suddenly like one of you has a fire cannon and the other one of you has bouncing homing bullets. And you suddenly have to figure out how those two should interact. These are new, like there's no moment in my life before where I had to figure out how I could defend against homing shotgun bullets with only a flamethrower. And here's a new experience that got made through a set of constraints. I think that's a good place to end.